So I want to put on some interesting lipstick. It's lavender, and I actually wanted lavender hair, but I couldn't get to the result because you have to have very, very blonde hair in order to get to a pastel color. And I bleached my hair maybe 5 times in the last 6 months, which is definitely not recommended. And I bleached like the whole thing. I didn't just bleach the roots because I couldn't get to the level of blonde I needed to get a pastel color. So here is my lavender lipstick. It makes my skin look really yellow in natural light, but that's okay. I'm okay with being yellow because that's my natural skin color. And now I want to put some glitter on my face. I've been doing that for a while last year, and then I stopped because I was feeling like shit. And now I continue feeling like shit, but at least I can have some glitter on my face. Okay, so this is as good as it gets. Too much on my nose, but who cares? It's fine. So I wanted to talk about the fact that most makeup comes in such sizes that we can never use it up. So most of the like eyeshadow palettes that I have, I will never be able to use up just because there's so much of the powder that even if you use the same one every single day for months at a time, you're not going to run out in like a year or 2. And then imagine in an eyeshadow palette, you get not 1 or 2, you get multiple colors. And it's very rare when people just get one palette. Of course, I know there are people out there who just get one palette and use it for, a year or 2, use it up and then get another one. I know there are people like this, but most of the people I know and like see on the internet, they get multiple palettes and they can never use them up, right? And now there is an expiration date on most of them, which means you are not supposed to use the product after it expires. But then why do they make such huge sizes of the pans? Why? And I know why, because they want to give you this illusion of value, like, oh, look at how much product you're getting for your money. And I understand if you're a makeup artist, yeah, then maybe you can use up a lot of the product and actually get your money's worth. But for most users, we're not going to use up all of these colorful powders in a lifetime. And continuously pushing for the makeup palettes in the beauty world, palettes are like everything. People like sell multiple of the different, color schemes of the palettes, and they look good. Like you look at them, you're like, oh, I like this color, I like that color, I don't have this color. And then you buy the whole palette for like 3 colors, and then you use it maybe for a few weeks, and then there is a new launch and you're like, oh, I like this color, I like that color, I don't have that color. The same story. And then you're pushed to buy more, and you have this huge amount of palettes then, and you use them all and you enjoy them, but you will never use them up just because of how much product is there. So I wish we had like smaller pans, and I wish we had fewer launches, and way fewer launches actually. I wish we had like 1 launch a year of everything that's good, and then you don't get a new launch until the next year. I just want this fake scarcity. Why? Because like it's just unsustainable to keep producing so many plastic palettes filled with colorful powders and then pushing them onto new consumers or old consumers, whoever, because ultimately most people will not be able to use up that much product, and in the end you still waste your money because you will end up throwing away that palette because it expired. And if you keep using it, well, maybe you risk something. I don't know. I use my palettes indefinitely. Like I have some palettes that are like 5-6 years old, maybe even older than that, and I keep using them. I mean, I probably shouldn't, but nothing happened yet, so I'm gonna take my chances. I'm not encouraging anyone to do this. I'm not saying you should be using expired makeup. It's just something I do because I can't throw away things if they're perfectly good. If they don't smell, if they don't look funky, I'm gonna keep using them. If I don't get any kind of, impairment from using them, I will just use them. And then I do occasionally throw away like expired makeup, but then I feel so guilty like seeing all these piles of plastic and all of the stuff that you can't reuse. That is so upsetting to me. And I know that like personally I can just buy less and use what I have, and I've been trying to do more of that in the last couple of years, but it's hard. It's hard when you see all all of these ads and all of this variety. And when this is your like emotional outlet to play with makeup and to look at beautiful products and whatnot, when it's like a support you have, it's kind of tough to not use it. And I have a lot of sympathy for people with various types of addiction, because I have a shopping addiction, and it's hard enough not having, other mechanisms like defense and coping mechanisms that healthy people should have. It's hard enough already on its own without the feeling of guilt and shame that you get from buying all of these products and then being wasteful with them. So I wish that the businesses were more responsible, because it's ultimately on the business, it's not on the consumer. Like, I'm not saying that consumers don't have agency. Of course we do in some capacity, but it's on the businesses, it's on the corporations that keep pumping out new products when they just launched like a week or two or a month ago. They just launched a brand new collection, and then just a few weeks pass and they launch a brand new collection with pretty much like repeat everything. They throw in like a couple new shades, a couple new items that usually are just repackaged old items, and then they kind of tempt people with addictions like mine, like makeup and shopping addictions, and people who are desperate for some fun and variety in their lives, because we don't have it as workers in the capitalist hellscape. So this is unfair, and this is like putting a shit ton of candy in front of a child and then saying like only take a couple because otherwise you're wasteful and you're going to like harm your health and whatever. Like, why are you even offering this child so much variety to begin with? Like, why don't you just give them a piece of candy and like that's it? And to begin with, why do we even produce all that candy if it's harmful? Like, if it's harmful, don't make it. Like, right? Like, poison is not supposed to be made and be available to people. And I'm not saying we need to have all the regulations, because I'm not completely convinced on one side or the other. But that's just a rant I have for today about too much production of makeup, and we should stop it. And it's not the consumer's fault, it's the businesses and the corporations' fault, so they should stop it. Goodbye.